Hello everybody, iTriTech here. So we're going to be disassembling the OptiPlex 360 Micro so we can take a look inside, or if you want to follow along and disassemble your own computer right here. You can see in the back we got a thumb screw here. You can also fit a Phillips head screwdriver into it, so if it's too tight you can always use that. And then we can take the top and we can kind of slide it. It'd probably be easier like this. There we go. We can just slide it like there. And we can lift this up and out, just like that. So we're going to take out the SSD or the hard drive bay. You can just pinch these two. And you kind of see there's a little groove in there. And then there's a little piece up here. So we just got to pinch it. Although I'd recommend just make sure it's stable table here. So there we go. It will take some force because it is connected into the SATA. And then when it's out back here, we can just lift up and out. And that will give us access to the M.2 NVMe. There's also one, this one is for Wi-Fi, and this one accepts 2230 or 2280 sized NVMe. We also have our CMOS battery. We just take our fingernail and push back on this metal clip here on the right, and then it'll come right out. So this saves all your BIOS settings and your time. So if you notice, if your computer loses power or gets unplugged, and then you start back up and it lost all that save and the time's wrong, it could be the CMOS battery's dead. So it's easy to take it out, put it back in. But I'm just going to keep it out for now. I don't have the other stuff. There is, I believe you can have another video port right here, and then you can have a serial port. That goes here. I think there's also other customizations you can make. The CPU cooler is really easy. All it is two clips, and just be careful because there is some short wires down here. So we gotta pull back, and it's locked behind this. So we gotta lift it out of there. There we go. Just like that. You can see how simple it is. A blower style fan. It just blows it right through to the cooler. So you can take off the fan pretty easily. So if you need to clean this out instead of taking out the whole heat sink, but we're going to be taking that off too because I need to put in thermal paste. And there is two cables here. One's for the speaker and one's for the fan. And we can take it out if we want to. Just be gentle. Well, this one's a bit more tricky, but we can just get our fingernails under it and pull it that way. There we go. It just comes out just like that. Now we can have access to the memory here. Obviously, if you're doing a memory change, you don't need to unplug everything. Just move the fan out the way. And there's two metal clips on the side. We can just push off to the side. And your RAM stick will pop out just like that. Then you can slide up and out. Same as this one. Don't worry, that's mismatched. I wasn't the original owner of this computer. Alright, so we got a Phillips head. And this one will fit pretty good. Just make sure, probably should give a little bit of downward pressure, because these were pretty tight from the factory, although I don't think I tightened it all the way. But I like to go around to each one, make sure I unlock it. Because that initial turn, if you have like a smaller Phillips head that doesn't fit it as perfectly, you could strip it a little bit. So, although this one fits it perfectly, so we're just going around, just getting that initial torque out of it. So now they're all loose. There we go. I already cleaned this up. It looks way worse on the camera for some reason, but I have an i3-8100T in here. You need to upgrade the CPU. Just push down on this latch, move it to the right, and we can lift up. be extra careful. And just make sure this latch goes under this screw here. You push down, just like that. If you already took off the cooler, you might want to put on no thermal paste, even if it's dried up a little bit. So I'm going to be putting on Thermal Grizzly. I do have MX4, but I just have this. So get that little extra performance. Possibly. It would only really matter if it's overheating, but I'm just going to start off with a small loop here. Now you don't need to use one of these, but I like to. Because if we can cover all the area, because the heatsink's not going to cover the entire thing. I did it with my gaming PC. I've been doing it recently. So it's easier, so you know it's not going to spread as uncontrollably. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but now it looks like we're definitely going to need more. So the less thermal paste you have on, it can make better contact, or it's harder for heat to get trapped in the thermal paste. Although if you have too little, it's going to be a lot worse for you. So all thermal paste does is bridges the contacts between the CPU and the cooler. Because even though the metal looks flat, it really isn't, and there's a bunch of gaps. So this just fills in the gaps. Now we gotta remember where this went. Not sure if it's actually marked on the board, because this does have numbers, but it is pretty easy to tell because we got that little notch where the drive bay clicks into, so that's got a point up here towards the SATA connectors. Make sure all the screws are aligning, just like that. Now put a little bit of downward pressure. Oh, it's something I like to do. Screw in a little bit. I like to give just a little bit of pressure, just so I make sure that thread gets in. We can lift up and both sides are locked in. Sometimes you can see the actual cooler physically moving, so yeah, so each side move in. I can lift a little bit. It's good. You don't. I like to go the extra way. You don't really have to, but I can make sure every single thread is in, so I can start evenly screwing in each screw. And because I've had instances where I thought it was screwed in, but one of the screws couldn't reach, and then when I was screwing down further on one side, it actually lifted it up, so it made everything a lot worse. Although I didn't damage anything. I got the CPU cooler in. Now I can put in RAM. Do the bottom one first. There's slide on top of these. See these little metal things sticking out to the side. Just have that on top of it, helps it guide it in. And then when it's in, we can just push down. So yeah, you just got to push it in diagonally like that. Sorry, you guys can't really see that well. So it pushes in at like that angle, and then you push down, it clicks in, locks into place. All right, move to the cooler. Oh, let's get this longer cable in. If you're not as bad as I am, you probably got this in by now. Oh, there we go. I didn't really have any light. And then I had to show some of this, but you can firmly press it on each side. Just make sure you're not pinching those cables. There it is. We got the fan and the speaker. We just put it down like that. And then we can slide it in so that plastic over here can get under. There we go. Okay, well, they clipped in now, so this isn't going anywhere. All right, make sure those cables are tucked so they don't get in the way when we put the cover back on. We can put the CMOS battery back in. Oh, we're going to put it in our drive. Make sure it's facing these ports forward. So you kind of just drop it in. It's easier if you align the black piece to be on the right, like you would take it out so it's in the unlocked position, and then you should be able to slide it right in. That's going to take a little bit of force. We can just hold these clips so there's less force in the way. And just make sure it's aligned with the SATA connector. Don't force anything, just take it easy. And then we can see that it is locked in, so we can push it all the way in. Now it's locked in. So all we need to do is put back on the cover. There's this little metal piece. So it just needs to be passed there, and then you can drop it in. Make sure this is on like that. And drop it like that, and then you can just slide it right in. Make sure everything's nice and secure. And we can see that there is no gaps. So nothing's getting caught or anything, so we're good. And now back here, screw this back in. We don't need a screwdriver. So screw it in. You don't need to do it too tight, but there we go. And that's the disassembly and the reassembly of the OptiPlex 360 Micro. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you found this information useful, please consider dropping a like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace out.